So that access is garnered through Quest, so that an instructor doesn't have to have a Wolfram account? And obviously you're using our resident server, not the server in Colorado.
So, yeah, so right now, all of our WebMathematica stuff is on our Quest servers.
Wait. We have a Mathematica server on campus too.
But in order to get these animations or simulations to show up within Quest, we load the files that generate them on our Quest server. So then the Quest server talks directly to them.
Okay.
Yes?
Well, this is sort of a question I asked last week, which is, what's the level of documentation for all of these things?
So the level of documentation for Mathematica is extensive.
Well, I know Mathematica, that's
Yeah.
not my question.
So the level of documentation for WebMathematica, I think there's about a 300-page PDF.
Okay, fine. But what I'm really saying is, what about Quest? Okay.
So for Quest, this is
You
a
are the
cautionary
documentation.
note.
Yeah.
Huh?
You are the
Yes,
documentation.
a cautionary note. These are, we've had access to this capability for about 8 weeks.
So
And this is what we're at this point able to do. And the things that you're allowed to do here are extensive. Luckily, when you create something in Mathematica, most of the time what I've found using these things is that I can copy and paste a chunk of that right into my file and send, and
Okay.
it's mostly fine.
I think if I make a recommendation, again, I'm trying to think of myself as a faculty member. I've got a class to teach. I've got some people called PhD students I'm supposed to be supervising once in a while, and other stuff I'm supposed to do. Oh yeah, I have a job. So I think for the near term, the best thing is to visualize the kinds of questions you would like to ask, and then have yourself or your TAs work with Heather on coding up that kind of problem and see if it looks like what you want.
Okay.
And if we get to a point where you say, yep, that's the right model, then we can document that particular thing, and Heather can work on that. But for the short term, I think what we're trying to do is pilot this. We're not at the stage where we even know what kinds of questions you all would like to implement.
Okay, for 10 seconds, can we forget about Mathematica? Okay.
Absolutely.
Sure.
What if I just want to do anything on Quest?
Oh,
Is
yes,
there
I-
documentation?
Yes.
Okay. Do I need a special account?
You need your EID.
That's it.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think that, well, as I keep emphasizing, that if we utilized a resource, and I'm trying to decide whether you're the resource, and you might be overloaded quickly.
At this point, yes.
So if you were
But
asking for
soon,
things to implement, it would be to find people within departments who are Mathematica savvy, that would be able to use Mathematica's capability to represent things in chemistry, physics, biology, neurobiology, ecology, environmental studies. Then you could have a pool of questions and utilize the engine in order to see graphically what people are looking for. I think that would be the key, would be to tap resources in departments so you wouldn't get overloaded with this. But
Well, and I think that from a content standpoint, when I was looking at this quantum something problem, sorry, I don't have the content knowledge in physics to do that question, and it's easier when you do. So absolutely, these eventually we'll get to the point where we can have experts in this kind of thing in departments, but step one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you asked what we'd like to see. Some of us have about 30 years of legacy plain text code. Now, I guess there's also a plain style sheet in LaTeX. So if we could load that, maybe that would solve our problems. So that's one issue we'd like to see. The other question I have is, so you've been working with this for 8 weeks. How stable is it?
I've never had this crash on me. Actually, sorry, I was reading the wrong thing. I've never had any of the WebMathematica things that I've created just plain not work. Well, that's a lie. When I've done something wrong in the file, when it was a syntax issue, that of course didn't work, but I've never had it not work. It does look different though. I was looking at Shannon's computer, and it looks a little bit different because of the way that I've sized the images. So that's something that we need to work out.
Well, I think you can also consider using the model of beta testing. And since you have a bazillion students, rather than shying away and saying somewhere down the road, what would you want? I think you should consider making this available sooner rather than later, and let the students represent the problems that would show up. And so if you came up with a model saying, let's see what we can have them create.
When you're using this in a class and it doesn't work, and the student start asking all sorts of different questions, why isn't it working? Am I going to get partial credit? We're going to drop this. It's not happy.
That's a nightmare.
Oh, well, I think what you've done is that's just the old rule of putting something out prematurely, but I'm saying you can utilize students when you're using this as an exercise. It's not for credit. When you're using it as an exercise.
I've used it in my class last semester. We were using learning modules. I had one or two students who were particularly adept at using things, doing things, looking at it, sending me errors. They were finding errors in my questions. And I tried working with one or two of them, and that worked quite well actually. They would write to me and point out errors and so on. And they're quite happy. I mean, I was trying out the CDF player with them and things like that, and they were quite good actually.
Do you all know what the CDF player is? So you can take what is your normal Mathematica, not WebMathematica, not Quest, but just normal local Mathematica. You can export it as what's called a CDF. It's like a PDF, but it's a CDF, meaning it's a computable document format. And Mathematica, Wolfram, their site has the CDF player. So you download the player just like you download Acrobat Reader, and you have your CDF player. Your
It's free
CDF,
as well.
True. Your CDF players like John creates, and then your students can look at them without the use of Quest or.
This, I think, will be one of the very useful ways of. I'm particularly interested in these 3D ones for obvious reasons. Ted will know why. And if 3D doesn't work very well in Quest because you've got to have the plugin and so on, the CDF player is basically Mathematica without free Mathematica.
No,
And you can't code in it, but you can run on any file. And so I was thinking of making some use of it, depending on how the students react.
Okay, well, in the spirit of using Mathematica and using an external server to process question types and to parse things, since you've figured out that tie-in somehow, a way to extend this and to employ this technology would be to also consider that there are programs that do similar things for other disciplines. So I'm thinking ChemDraw, I don't know that very well. Neuron is a program that allows you to manipulate the properties of Neuron. And if you were to consider similar capture of output in order to parse it, then this would become very popular. Okay. I know that there are ecology model programs out there, and that you can pull sliders and stuff like that. And do the same.
Yeah, I don't see the chemistry folks here that we're pursuing. There is quite a bit of interest in integrating with ChemDraw.
I know we have a site license with them somehow, and so that would be something to integrate other types of things other than just Mathematica, or to use Mathematica to model those things.
There are quite a lot of the math demos, the math demonstrations, in fact many more of the math demonstrations prepared are for physics, chemistry, and biology.
Yeah, I've seen the math demo.
But the actual files that are available, I'd say that the majority of them were for physics and chemistry and biology.
Well, that's what I'm basically saying. I'm saying that if you want how to bring this to the public, how to bring it to the faculty, and encourage the faculty to be interested in this, is to show that with very little knowledge of Mathematica, they can get an idea across. It still seems like it's only one person that could find that model for them, and now the other.
But if you take the code, say you've got a CDF file on Mathematica, what do? Do you take the code that you download from Wolfram Demo, and you just paste it into a HTML window, or what?
You can do that. We have to be careful about what we appropriate as our own.
No, I'm not. I'm just asking.
But for the most part, you take. So you're familiar with the Mathematica function manipulate, right?
Yes, yes.
There's an equivalent WebMathematica function called MSP manipulate.
Mm-hmm.
You take your argument of manipulate and you shove it in as your argument of MSP manipulate.
And you just change the to MS manipulate. Okay. Go.
Yes.
But I think you raise a really good point. I mean, I've used Neuron. It's a stunningly sophisticated program, and we're not going to get a free Mathematica version of it.
There are institutes on campus that have what's nominally a site license. I think there's just some negotiation that has to happen. And I know that the EEB people have ecology programs, and seeing ecology progress. The whole idea is these things exist, the students are already using it. We're thinking about the help of Quest, and the idea is to, as rapidly as possible, parse that into Quest in some way.
So if you're saying it would be useful to investigate a license that would allow us to embed Neuron in this Quest, I think we can do that.
I think that would be huge. I think another, because that can go all the way across all of biology. I think another one would be the POP or something like that in the Hillis would know. Ask David Hillis, POP or something like that. Then obviously anything in chemistry that would allow the students to manipulate. I know that ChemDraw has an education suite where you move a moiety from one end to the other. As long as it's housed in Quest, it doesn't really matter how simple the input or output is. It doesn't matter if they can get it at home. It's in Quest. And the idea is that it's there, and then you have Quest questions next to the thing that's moving.
Right.
So all you're doing is forcing students to use a program that they would be forced otherwise to use, but this becomes a central clearinghouse.
Absolutely. What we wanted is to put as many learning tools into this thing, and so you have a single place to go. The worst thing is when you have to have a separate web page open on the side, and the students are manipulating over the side, and then you're supposed to answer questions over here. That's kind of lame. Right?
Yeah, so that's why putting the question right by the graph would be great, and then, whatever the output window is. And I think I would just go to everybody. I would go to environmental studies and say, what software do you have, and see what's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like sort of a driving factor of this is that you're having the program grade for you. Is there any hope of getting, long answer questions in that the TA then grades?
Yeah.
That's good.
It's on the list for this month.
Yeah, within a week or two, we'll have something that can give us feedback on and
Great.
be production.
One of the things I've heard about as sort of state of the art is in that kind of file upload, I'll call it, kind of feature, is you have to create an environment for the TA to go into where they're viewing a student record of some sort, whatever, a long essay. There's a way to enter a score over here on the side on the spreadsheet, and then scroll to the next student thing, and the student record spreadsheet scrolls down, just to make this as seamless a process as possible. Because we can do something really crude, but then you've got piles and piles of files that they look through, and it takes more time to manage all the files. And you want to make it inherit some of those nice features like admissions offices have, where they can literally screen through thousands of PDF files and then enter comments about whether or not to admit the student. So that's, I think, what everyone's working on right now.
Excellent.
To make that seamless.
Shane, you know that my push for this is as a self-learning tool, and we've talked about what I was doing. But another thing to consider that you could probably implement very quickly that would be useful in Mathematica type applications would be to have peer review of work or joint work. To have a way where student produced work and then that could be passed to another student. So peer reviewed work or homework or where they can work as groups or something along those lines. And I'm not sure how you would do that, but right now it seems to be single instance. And
It is, and certainly collaboration is something that you hear all about everywhere you go.
that's what I want. And, I just don't even know where you do that at the
Well,
moment.
the first steps are open input where they can type large, open-ended questions that just the TA can evaluate.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. If you can find a way to store for TA, then you should be able to make it anonymous, and then allow the students to do peer review, say close to no cigar, and then add comments. So maybe that would be a good thing. It would be less intimidating for them to. And they would like Quest if they got they said this is not the TA or the instructor, but this is your peers telling you, I don't know if maturity levels there or not.
Well, behind the scenes, we would know what EID had entered whatever.
That's true. It doesn't seem to stop them, but
things,
yeah.
but,
Anyway.
yeah.